Hello and welcome back, grade 8s. Today we are going to be investigating square roots. So if I could get you to open your textbook to page 335 in the math text. So on the second page here, on page 335, we are talking about the area of a circle. So last week we talked about the area of a circle and we can use square roots to calculate its radius. So if we have the radius of a circle, we know that the radius is about 3r squared. So we know that the area is about 3r squared. So what we can do is we know that r squared is about 1/3 of the area, or a over 3. Okay, grade 8, so that's our estimating there. So if we actually want to find the radius, we have to take the square root of a over pi. Because remember, when we use 3, we are just estimating. When we use pi, that is when we're doing the official calculation of the circle. So our actual formula that we're going to use is going to be r equals the square root of a over pi. Okay? Okay, grade 8, so one more thing that I wanted to add here is how we actually got the formula that we are using. So we started with the formula a equals pi r squared. Now, the first thing that we want to do is we're trying to solve for the radius using our area. So in the textbook on page 335 at the top of the page, they show this formula. And what they do is they want to isolate for r. So if we put r squared on this side, we know that what we had to do is that we had to divide area by pi. So when we did that, we divided by pi on this side, which cancels that out, and then we put pi over here. Okay? So then what the textbook did is they flipped the equation. They went r squared is equal to a over pi. So what they did was they got rid of pi, so that way we have r squared by itself. Now, we know that to get rid of squared, we have to take the square root of the other side. So what they did was they took out the squared and they put a square root on the other side to give us the formula r is equal to the square root of a over pi. Okay, grade 8s, we're going to run through the example on page 335. So a circular rug has an area of 11.6 meters square. So to calculate the radius of the rug, we're going to use our formula. Radius is equal to the square root of area over pi. Now, we're going to substitute into a the area of the circle, okay? So that's our 11.6 meters squared. We're going to substitute that number. That number is going to go into the area of the circle, okay? So how we're going to do this is we're going to rewrite the equation. We're going to go equals the square root of 11.6 over pi. And now to find our answer, we're going to use our calculator. Now, when you're using your calculators at home, you'll have a button that looks like this. It's a square root button. So on my calculator, that's where it is. It's going to be right there. So if you're using a scientific calculator, sometimes you have to click on that button before you start to input information into the calculator. So for me, I have to click the square root button, and then I'm going to click this button here to have a fraction go into the formula. So for me, when I'm punching this in, it's going to be 11.6 divided by pi. And it's going to look like that on my calculator, okay? So I have the square root, and then I have the area over pi. So hopefully you can see that. If not, we'll show you in the live lesson. Okay, so my answer here is going to be about 1.921 on my calculator, okay? So we have to make sure that we round this number, and we only want about 2 decimal places when we're doing this sort of math. Now I can see at the end here, I have a 1 and a 5. So I know that the 1 is going to be lower than 2, and the 5, it doesn't really matter. So because we know that the 5 would only translate that 1 into a 2. So we're going to leave this as 1.92. Now, when we calculated the area, we're in meters squared, but when we find the radius, that radius is going to equal 1.92 meters. So no more squared, because when we take the square root of the area, that gets rid of the square. Okay, grade 8, so we're going to look at example 1A that you're going to be working on for homework. So I'm going to do this example just in this video. Okay, so 1A, let me just draw out the circle for you so you get a visual. So you can always make a drawing on your page, should make this math a little bit easier. So I have my circle there. Now, for A, they tell me that the area is going to equal 12.57 centimeters squared. Now, remember that formula that we're using is R equals the square root of A over pi. So just write that formula down on your page over to the side. Okay, so we have R equals A over pi. Now, they have given us the area, so we're going to input the area into the A. Now, what we're going to have is R is equal to the square root of 12.57 over pi. Now, grade 8s, you're going to use your calculator just like we did in the first example, and you're going to input this into your calculator. So you're going to press the square root button, and then you should be able to input all the information underneath the square root button if you have a scientific calculator like me. Okay, and my answer is going to be radius is equal to 2.0002888796. Now, obviously, we don't want to have that many decimals for a radius because that's very difficult to measure and write out every time we want to write out the radius. So grade 8s, we would round this number to 2. So radius is going to equal 2, and then remember your units, so we were in centimeters squared, 2 centimeters. Okay, and then just draw on your circle, the radius is equal to 2 centimeters. Thanks for watching this video. Hopefully it helps you out. If you have any questions, ask us live in class. We'll see you in the next one.